Y&R Spoilers Wednesday, May 7th reveal Cole's story has taken center stage in the Newman household as a stressful test result is about to be released, leaving everyone on edge. Since Cole became ill, the family has been holding their breath waiting for the doctor's verdict. While his initial symptoms seemed like a simple cold, Cole's rapid deterioration has left everyone questioning the severity of his condition. Victoria Newman, always anxious but always strong, can't help but feel stressed as doubts about Cole's condition grow. Despite her efforts to stay calm, her worries about Cole's future haunt her every minute. As she awaits the test results, she can't help but share her feelings with her close brother, Nick Newman. Their relationship, which had been through so many trials and tribulations, once again became a source of comfort for Victoria in this moment. Nick had always been reliable, someone who stood by her through any circumstances, and this time was no exception. Cole's condition is really bad, Victoria confided to Nick, her voice breaking. He's really weak, and I don't know if he'll make it. I'm really scared. Nick listened and placed a hand on Victoria's shoulder, the understanding in his eyes clear. Victoria, I know this is a difficult time, but you're not alone. We'll face it together. Victoria sighed, the exhaustion from sleepless nights and constant thoughts about Cole's condition leaving her exhausted. But Nick's comfort was still the most precious spiritual medicine in this moment. After a moment of silence, Victoria decided to open up to Nick about another matter that was troubling her. There's something else, Nick. Claire has decided to move in with Kyle. She said they're ready to take a big step in their relationship. Nick was surprised by Claire's decision, but he also understood Victoria's confusion. What do you think of her decision? He asked. Victoria couldn't hide the worry in her eyes. I feel like they're rushing things. Claire's just starting a new chapter in her life, and I don't want her to make any mistakes. However, I know she's a strong person, and sometimes we can't change what other people have chosen. Nick looked at Victoria, giving her a small smile. We can't live someone else's life for them. Claire is an adult, and she needs to decide what's best for herself. You may not agree with her, but you can always be there to support her through tough times. Victoria nodded, feeling relieved to hear Nick's advice. However, a part of her couldn't help but worry about the unforeseen consequences Claire would face if she made the wrong decision. Meanwhile, Cole's health continued to be a major concern for Victoria. She kept looking for ways to help him overcome his illness, even though the test results might make things more complicated than ever. The test results came back, and it was devastating news. The doctors confirmed that Cole's condition was much more serious than they had thought. This made Victoria feel like all her hopes had been dashed once again. In that painful moment, she not only had to face Cole's illness, but also the fact that she couldn't control everything, no matter how hard she tried. In addition to worrying about Cole, Billy Abbott's story was also making the situation more tense than ever. Recently, Billy continued to cause an action that made Jack Abbott extremely angry. Jack's rage was uncontrollable when Billy once again disrupted the stability of the Abbott family. Their relationship had gone through many ups and downs, and this time, Billy continued to test his father's patience. Billy, how could you do this? Jack roared when he learned of Billy's actions. You don't know what you're doing. Don't make me make a heartbreaking decision. Billy remained silent, knowing that he could not justify his actions this time. However, he feels confused because he cannot stop following what his heart tells him, even though those decisions may have serious consequences. Victoria can't help but notice the changes in the Abbott household as Jack and Billy's rivalry intensifies. But she also has her own worries about Cole and Claire's development. Family relationships, career, and personal choices all intertwine, creating a complex and unpredictable picture. Amidst it all, one big question haunts Victoria. Can she protect the people she loves while she herself is struggling with constant challenges? Things began to change when Mariah Copeland began to act strangely, which made Tessa worried. Mariah had always been a reliable partner, but lately, she had become strange, not herself anymore. When Tessa came home in the evenings, Mariah seemed tired and distant, although she tried to show that everything was fine. Tessa, although she did not want to think too much about it, could not help but realize that something was wrong. She felt the change in Mariah more and more clearly, and no matter how much Mariah tried to act normal, Tessa could still see the tension in her eyes and attitude. When meeting friends, Mariah had strange gestures. She avoided Tessa's eyes, no longer smiling brightly like before, and when Tessa asked about her work or her business trips, Mariah would answer vaguely, as if she was trying to hide something. Tessa couldn't help but worry. She felt a distance between them, as if Mariah was creating an invisible wall, separating them from each other. One night, as they sat together in the living room, Tessa couldn't bear it anymore. "Mariah, what's wrong? You're not like yourself anymore. I know you're hiding something. If something happened, you could tell me, right?" Mariah was silent for a moment, her eyes looking down at her hands. It had been a long time since Tessa had seen her like this. Those words were unlike Mariah, who was always open and honest with her. Mariah closed her eyes, trying to find an explanation for this change, but all she could manage was a short, "I'm fine, Tessa. I just feel tired sometimes." Tessa knew that wasn't the case. She saw through those words, a pain, a deep tiredness that Mariah didn't want to share. Something very big, very heavy was weighing on Mariah's mind, but she refused to face it. Not long after, Tessa heard a story from Sharon Newman. Sharon had always been Mariah's trusted friend, but this time she became a witness to the deep thoughts that Mariah had kept hidden all this time. In a private conversation, Mariah admitted to Sharon that she had done something terrible on her last business trip. Although she didn't go into detail, Mariah only revealed that this had left her struggling with an inescapable sense of guilt. Sharon, as a longtime friend, urged Mariah to confess to Tessa, but Mariah, in fear and pain, just shook her head. She couldn't let Tessa know. The truth was too devastating, and Mariah didn't want to hurt the person she loved the most. She just wanted to keep it to herself and bury it forever. "I can't hurt Tessa," Mariah told Sharon, her voice breaking. "If she knew this, I don't know where we would go. She wouldn't be able to forgive me." But this very concealment complicated the situation. The more Tessa tried to understand Mariah, the more she realized that there was a deep void that she couldn't fill. Every time Mariah was silent, she felt like a terrible secret was hanging in the air. Mariah's exhaustion, her stress, couldn't be hidden forever. And Tessa, with her deep love for her, felt like she was losing her connection with her partner. Meanwhile, Tessa found comfort in conversations with Daniel, her longtime best friend. Daniel, though not an insider, had seen through her objective perspective and ability to understand others, the confusion and anxiety that Tessa could not hide. Tessa did not tell Daniel explicitly what was going on between her and Mariah, but he could see that she was struggling with something big. Daniel could not help but ask, "Tessa, can you share with me? You are not alone." Tessa looked into Daniel's eyes, feeling his genuine concern. "Mariah has changed," she said, her voice as light as the wind. "There is something she does not want to tell me. I do not know what to do." Daniel smiled slightly. "I understand that feeling. But sometimes, painful things need to be shared. You can't bear it alone. If Mariah really loves you, she wouldn't want to hide something so important from you." Tessa looked at Daniel, feeling relieved that someone understood and was willing to listen to her. But she still knew that, even though Daniel could give her advice, only Mariah could solve this problem. Tessa couldn't just rely on other people's advice, she had to face Mariah and find out the truth. Tessa decided that she wouldn't wait any longer. She knew that Mariah's silence couldn't last forever, and she couldn't accept a relationship full of secrets. She wouldn't let Mariah's fear or guilt destroy their love. She would be the one to help Mariah face the past, no matter how painful it was. Things are always changing, and the biggest change of late has been the arrival of Diane Jenkins. After a long absence, Diane is back, and this time, her return is not simple. She is not only returning to the role of a mother, but also as a factor that can completely change the structure of the Abbott family. These changes are not always warmly received, and especially not for Billy Abbott, who always feels that everything is being disrupted unnecessarily. Diane has always tried to integrate into the Abbott family, but she quickly realizes that not everyone in the family accepts her presence, especially Billy. After her efforts to integrate, Diane cannot help but feel heartbroken when witnessing the negative reaction from Billy, who clearly shows his dissatisfaction with the changes she brings. Feeling rejected, misunderstood, and unaccepted leaves Diane in a state of confusion, questioning herself. She began to worry about the decisions she had made. Was coming back a mistake? Were the changes she was making really good for the family? These questions kept playing over and over in her mind. In Tuesday's episode, Diane couldn't hide her emotions and decided to share her feelings with Jack. She met him in a private place where no one could hear what was coming. Diane looked into Jack's eyes, and there was a tremor in her voice, as if she was afraid of his reaction. "Jack, I don't know what to do," Diane began, her voice breaking. "I tried so hard to fit in, to change things for the better, but not everyone accepted those changes. Billy, he was so harsh on me. I just wanted this family to be the way it was, but it just didn't seem to be working out the way I wanted it to be." Jack looked at Diane, listening quietly. He didn't deny that the changes in the Abbott household weren't easy. But he also understood that Diane hadn't come back just for him, but for the family, for the children. He couldn't blame her. "I understand how you feel," Jack said calmly, "but Billy can't decide everything in this family. You have to understand that not everyone can easily accept change, especially when it involves memories and habits that have existed for a long time in the Abbott family." However, Diane couldn't shake the feeling that she had done something wrong. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was hurting everyone, and especially Billy, with whom she had always thought she could build a harmonious relationship. Those thoughts haunted her, making her wonder if her renovation of the Abbott mansion had been a mistake. Every effort she made seemed to bring division instead of unity. "Jack, did I do something wrong?" Diane asked, her eyes filled with worry. "Maybe I was too hasty. Maybe renovating the house wasn't the best way to integrate, but only made things worse." Jack looked at Diane for a long time, then he said, "Diane, not everyone can accept change immediately. You can't make things change easily. You did the right thing, and Billy needs to understand that." Jack didn't want Diane to feel guilty, and he couldn't let her continue to live with such guilt. He believed that renovating the mansion was a reasonable decision, and everything would be fine, it just took time and patience. But what bothered him the most was Billy's reaction. He couldn't understand why his brother was so stubborn and harsh, when he had clearly done everything for the good of the family. After listening to Diane's sharing, Jack decided that it was time to intervene and help Billy realize his mistake. So Jack decided that his brother needed to apologize. He couldn't stand Billy continuing to hurt Diane's feelings, and if he didn't do something, it would only get worse. Although the two brothers still had a strong bond, Jack now felt it was his responsibility to protect Diane, and to make sure that the Abbott family wouldn't be torn apart by misunderstandings and negative attitudes. When Jack found out that Billy continued to hurt Diane, he couldn't contain his anger. He felt disappointed with Billy's actions, and decided that this wouldn't continue. Jack planned to confront Billy, wanting his brother to face up to his actions and make things right. Billy can't keep going like this, Jack thought. Something has to change. And so, a confrontation between the two Abbott brothers is inevitable. Jack will not let Billy continue to destroy his family, and he is determined to do everything he can to help his brother realize his mistakes. This will be a battle not only between the two brothers, but also a fight for love and unity in the Abbott family, something Diane has always longed for, but has not been able to find.